You're tuning in to Past Our Prime, a show powered by Squad Locker.
Let's be great. Let's be great.
Here are your hosts, retired Astros minor league star Tip Fairchild and former Patriots All-Pro center Dan Copen.
Go rock this thing, huh? Love you, man. Let's go get it.
All right, here we go, folks. Welcome to the program. Episode 57, as always, powered by Squad Locker. We have Jimmy VanOstrand.
VO, I call him.
It's a lot easier. let's
Canadian guy.
VanOstrand.
Reason
Jimmy.
we're bringing him on. Played with him for a long time.
Shocking. He's a former baseball player, and
not from Maine.
No, he's not from. Yeah, we're going outside. We're
going outside
crazy.
Maine, but we're bringing him on because he's a big league mental coach,
mental performance coach,
which is a popular thing nowadays.
It's a very popular.
So we're going to go down the. I told him, I texted him, I said, we're going to kind of go down the Dr. Chapman route with you. Remember Dr. Chapman? We're talking about the anxiety and like the mental side of the game. So I'm interested to hear what he has to say.
Didn't you tell me the other day when you set this up, like he was worried about, doctor-client privilege type thing? I just basically said, just tell me. No, this is more for us. This is about us.
Yeah, I said this is about me.
Not anybody else.
Yeah, not who you're working with. You need to
we
fix
don't care.
me. Fix me.
Yeah, that's what we're going through. Golf season's coming up. This is all about us.
That's right. Absolutely. There's so many things that happen.
So many things. And we're going to touch on, I don't want to get into last weekend in depth. Because it's going to, like, by the time this comes out.
That's true.
It's
we're going
to be talked
into the next
about.
thing. That's right. It's worn out.
Let's just say the divisional round games were phenomenal. Right? We suck at betting.
What am I trying to say? Is this a bad term? Recency bias?
I don't know.
I feel like it comes up as a bad term, but I think we have recency bias on saying it might be the best Sunday that you will ever see in terms of game. I mean, those two games, with the Brady comeback, 27-3, right? A comeback like that, followed up by an all-time great, an instant classic, as they used to say.
Yes, I think they probably still say that. I think that's
is ESPN Classic still a channel? Remember that they used to have like instant classic. It was on ESPN Classic like the next day.
Correct, but I think they can still do that with the technology nowadays.
Can.
So it still could be an instant classic.
Okay,
which I agree with you on that one, and I will defer on this part. The Rams-Bucks game was not good for 3 quarters.
Nope.
So as an overall,
it was not
good for 3 quarters. Rams were kicking the shit out of them.
Yep.
And then you go back to the Falcons game, 28-3. They had to do everything right, and Falcons had to do everything wrong, which happened again in the fourth quarter. And if they made that comeback, holy shit!
I called you 3 times. He kept declining me because he was at friends' houses. I was like, I'm over here hyperventilating.
It was kind of good because I talked to you a little bit before, texting back and forth, and then it was just the emotional roller coaster that I could tell you were on.
I was on it.
And basically, I got the text at the end. I'm crying right now, and I can't help it. And I call him up. Sure enough, I think he was legitimately crying. And it was, I mean, when you think you have it, I mean, it's just 2 things. And the Kansas City Buffalo game was an instant classic from start to finish. And the last 2 minutes, maybe the best 2 minutes you'll ever see of football.
It was
offensively speaking, maybe not defensively.
26 points and then overtime points and overtime too. It was unbelievable. I'm laughing at our text. I said I can't even say that sentence. But then look at the GIF that I put back. It was the what is that called?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean. Jack Sparrow one. It was perfect. And then it was just back and forth. And then you drop the Dumb and Dumber. So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yes.
And I just was dying. I was like, this is bananas.
It was good back and forth. It's probably not really good for radio or podcasts.
Yeah, but so many people watch that. I mean, they knew we would be talking about this. And I mean, we almost saw another TB12 comeback that was just for the ages.
And you should have, it should have went to overtime, right? I mean, you go back to both games, it was bad defensive calls and bad coaching, situational football in both games.
Yeah.
You do not go blitz zero, which means nobody's in the middle of the field. You're bringing everybody, and everybody's locked one-on-one.
Right over the top.
With OBJ sitting
To a
there,
Cowboy
Cooper
quarterback
Kupp, who's,
anyway.
You know, probably the non-quarterback MVP of the NFL.
And a guy that likes to chuck the ball deep.
Chuck the ball deep.
So
And you go blitz zero in that situation. All you have to do is keep them in front of you and tackle them. And then in the Kansas City Buffalo game, like when they need a field goal to send to overtime in 13 seconds, was it?
with a kicker that missed short a 45-yarder.
That was shocking. I was like, what was that, 55? And someone said it was like 46. I mean, you got to be
46.
freaking kidding me.
46-yarder short by 5 yards.
But in that guy's defense, his name slips my mind at the moment.
You won't think of it.
It's yes, I will think of it. Kansas City kicker. Don't do it, Max. I'll think of it.
Peacup. No, he used to kick for the Bucks.
He has got
Pikachu.
I'm
What's his
telling
name?
you,
Hiccup.
No. What the
Yes,
hell
it's
is
something like that.
Why did it slip my name? Go ahead.
You're close.
Am I close?
You're close.
Hang on,
Keep
one more.
going.
Come on, you got
Hiccup?
it.
Sick up? What?
Suck up.
Oh,
No, it's
yeah,
not. Is it suck up?
Suck up. Yeah.
Oh,
Suck
no,
up?
sorry,
No,
sorry,
it's not suck
no,
up.
it's not. Harrison Bucker.
Bucker.
Oh, I was thinking suck.
Bucker has a pair of steel nuts on him too, though. I've
Yeah.
seen him kick 55-yarders or over 50 where they call a timeout and he drills it again. So I'm not saying he doesn't have a set of nuts, but for him to miss a 46 short is hard to do.
You want to talk about steel nuts? What about the Bengals kicker, steel nuts?
Oh, that was awesome. Calling his shot.
That stuff.
And
gets
he's
me,
a rookie,
like-
too.
Yeah, and have you seen his his like TikTok videos and Instagram videos?
Yeah.
with him like knocking caps off of bottles and
I still have a problem with those.
yeah, but he's a beast.
All right, so if you put a bottle up there, which is what he
Yeah.
did, and he just grazed it and it spun the cap off, right?
Yep.
He said he did. Like, yes, it's really cool, but he said he also had to kick it like 30 or 40 times just on the off chance that he hits it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, I know his accuracy and he can kick the ball like wherever he wants. I get how
still
finely tuned he is, but if you do it, it's like trying to hit it like in golf. Or I can hit this shot once out of 50 times.
My guess though is he probably hit quite a few of them that were pretty close.
Yeah.
It's still tough to do.
Yes, but I don't think he goes into it. It's like, I don't think you can call it a trick shot if you get 50 shots at it.
There were a lot.
Like, it's a trick shot if you can do it on the first time.
I agree. There were a lot of great quotes though that came from this weekend. So his was, well, guess we're going to the AFC Championship.
Yep.
I fucking love that.
Yeah.
Just the
the
right on
balls.
the line of like that arrogance, cockiness, but just confident of being like, I'm going out there and I'm burying this thing. Love that shit. He did.
And for Cincinnati, who hasn't won in a long time.
Boy, I love Joe Burrow too.
I would have loved to have seen Cincinnati versus Buffalo this week.
Oh, that would have been a great game.
And I don't know why, but I wanted Buffalo to beat Kansas City so bad.
Oh, it was. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why, but I did remember my liking of Patrick Mahomes more. He did play like.
See, I dislike him even more now.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't like him.
Well, I'm not necessarily
Not
fond of him,
personally
but-
or whatever.
No, but
Kansas City's team is just like
played a great game
it's
though.
not- they
played
it was
great,
phenomenal.
But now, again, this team lost. But Josh Allen, you want to talk about a set of steel nuts? That guy's balls are huge.
Yeah,
We've dropped a lot of steel nuts and balls in this episode.
I guess I know the titles coming up.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. Steel nuts and balls. Josh Allen,
got
when
a
he
big
is
set of
when he
nuts.
turns the corner on people, I know he's a big guy too. He buries people. Like, he does not slide. He does not go out of bounds. He lowers the absolute boom on people, and he moves earth. Like he buries people and plows through them. Would you say, is there anybody that's been like that as a quarterback?
Not him. I don't
Because
think.
a lot of those types are quick and elusive, right? Like Michael Vick. Like, he didn't lay the hammer on people. He lays the hammer and kills them.
Who's God? Names are slipping me. Who's the guy from the quarterback from Kentucky? He was with the Giants.
Oh, the big guy.
The big guy.
Yeah, he died a few years ago.
He did
What's
die.
his name?
God rest his soul. But he was. He wasn't running. He was not a running quarterback. He was not the most athletically gifted, but he
350
was
pounds.
a horse.
He's the one that got the Barstool deal done. Remember when Barstow was selling? It was his agent. Like he made the introduction.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Was it Jared Lawrence?
Yes. Thank you.
It definitely was.
Yeah. And he was a different style. Josh Allen, though, is just massive, and he just absolutely wrecks people. So I'm bummed that we don't get to see him more.
You might be able to say that Saints guy.
Oh,
the gadget guy down there.
Yeah. Boy, how were your names today?
I'm not. I didn't think we were going to go in this direction.
Number 7.
Yeah. Like I passed over him fantasy football a bunch of times because he can't throw.
Yeah,
so it really doesn't matter.
Boy, we're experts of names. It's fine.
It doesn't
it's
really matter.
No big deal.
But again, our betting continues to suck. So if you did, we were both one. No, we were both 1 for 3.
Yeah, we both were 1 for 3. You and I split. We had different games that we lost.
Yeah.
No. Yes. Yeah, that's true.
I won the San Francisco game. You lost.
So I'm still down right now 100.
It's down 100. We're going to do 4 picks right now.
Yep.
Again for 100.
Right now.
Go first. San Francisco versus LA. LA is -7. Over under right now is 54.5.
I'm going Niners and over, which is probably I might be the only person in the country taking that bet, but I'm going Niners and over.
All right, because I'm going to go Rams, and I will go under.
Okay. Now I do think the Rams are going to win.
I don't care.
I know that doesn't count towards this bet.
It doesn't.
The Rams will beat the Niners. The Niners are going to cover. Okay.
I understand how that works.
I'm taking the Niners. Right.
So you got the Niners.
I've got the Niners
With
and
the
the
points.
over. And the over.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Bengals +7 over under against the Chiefs 54.5. I'll go on this one.
Okay.
I will go Chiefs.
Okay. I'm glad that you did.
And I will go under.
Okay. I love this. I'm going Bengals. Joe Cool. I love the guy. I think he's great. I love Joe Burrow.
Yep.
Bengals, and I'm going over, and that's going big. This is a 32. Let me hang on here. This is a 44-37 game. This is a big number.
37. So you're going to push that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you don't even want the victory.
No, this is.
So you just want the over. You don't want to.
This is the push. Yeah, no. So
you're going to push your
Bengals
points
up even higher. So 54-37. Like this is a high scoring affair. This is going to be a shootout game. All right. And I know that Cincinnati doesn't have weapons.
Max, you're going to have to go back and figure that one out.
Bengals and over. And you went Chiefs and over or under?
I went Chiefs and I went. What the hell did I do under?
I don't know.
No, I went over. I went over.
Okay, so we're the same on the over.
Yeah.
Okay,
I got the Chiefs and I got the over.
Got it.
Chiefs, Mahomes playing really well right now. I think, the Bengals. I like Burrow. I like Chase. I think they're going to put some points on the board. But the way the Chiefs are going right now, I don't know if they can stay with them. 49ers, love the 49ers.
Yeah.
Love the team. Love their defense. Love their special teams. Can the offense make enough plays? Which
that's why
they haven't been able to.
Funny for me to take the over.
I just don't know if the defense and the special teams can make as many plays as they have to this point. It's just, it's got to be a full team effort in these games, and they just haven't put it together. Full compliment.
Everybody wants to hear this one from you, from your mouth, your lips to God's ears. Is 12 done?
Oh, yeah. Before
a lot going on with this, right?
I think we talked about it last week. I think my thought process before the games was if he wins this year, I think he would be okay walking away. If he
wins this year, because he
he didn't win now.
He has one more year left on his deal, right?
Yes.
Is it an option, or is it like he has one more year left?
He has one more year, but it was just one of those salary cap type things to add it on to lower his number this year. So I think he can, he do whatever he wants.
Got it. Okay.
Right? So now that they lost, if they lost, I think he would. My thought process was he would come back and do it again.
Okay.
However, what guy? I mean, he
looks 23. So.
There's things you can do, I think, to look younger nowadays.
Well, did you want to clip that one? Send it to him, Max.
I don't know.
No, but I mean, in the pocket, he still looks pretty spry.
He led the league in passing. He's
probably
going to get MVP. I'm not saying anything about his play.
Okay, so
However,
you know what's funny?
I've never heard something come out during the game or just before the game where he's going to mull it over. That threw me off.
Okay. I got multiple messages,
and I'm sure internally, like he does that every year, and like, okay, I'm gonna go home, talk to the family, see how I feel physically. I think he does that.
How many years do you think he's done that? Probably the last 5, maybe more.
Yeah, I just no. He was always gonna play. I don't think he needed to make a statement. I just think all right, this is the plan. This is what we're doing. And the fact that he came out and said something, that sort of threw me off a little bit. So
I got multiple messages on this from a lot of people. Some who know you, like who we know now, maybe from this, say, hey, what's Dan think about like 12 retiring? I got a message from a publication that was asking for a quote from you.
Here, hold on.
So I said, hang on, let's just do this on the show instead. So your thought is that if he would have won
before.
If he would have won,
yes,
he was done.
Yes.
Now that he hasn't, is he?
Before, I thought he would have came back.
Okay.
Now, with the reports out there that needs to mull it over, it threw me off because I've never heard that before.
See, for me, mull it over
and
means I'm coming back, boys.
There's no, but there's no. It's like Rodgers or these guys. There's nothing that's not planned, and I'm not saying I know. I don't talk to him about it. There's nothing that isn't leaked that isn't planned.
We could call him.
Good. But to have that report out there sort of throw me off. Now, I still say he's going to come back.
Okay. So you're saying come back. I'm saying come back. I actually am saying I think he comes back this year, and if he wins or loses this next year coming up, I still think he has one more team left in him.
I thought about that too.
I just think he might pick like one more team with weapons that needs a quarterback, or there's an injury or something that he's like, okay, here we go. I'll do one more.
Here's my top 3 teams besides Tampa Bay.
I love this.
All right, top 3 teams for me besides
you go
Tampa
and then
Bay.
I'll go. Yep.
Number 1, San Francisco.
He did.
Number 2,
he did say he didn't.
Tennessee.
His allegiance was
Number
over.
2, Tennessee,
because of Vrabel.
Vrabel and Tannehill just blows.
Okay, go.
Number 3,
Yep.
New England.
Oh yes, baby.
New England.
Get
Why
a band
not?
back together.
Okay.
Why?
You ready for my
Why
3?
not? And
You ready for
number
my
2,
3?
I don't think it's going to happen because I think if Tennessee were to release or trade, I think their cap hit is like $50 million. So let's probably just throw that one out.
Got it. Minnesota was my first pick. I texted you that too.
Because I don't remember getting that.
They have wide receiver weapons, and like, what if he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go play there for 1 year," and for some reason, I can picture him wearing purple and white, like
you looked in that outfit.
No, kind of like in that outfit, like kind of like Favre when he was done. Like kind of like for some reason I can picture that. It's funny because we have the same 2 picks on the last ones. Tennessee was my next one just because Tannehill just a bum. And they have weapons still who are kind of young.
Yep.
Plus, it's Vrabel, right? And then it's right in the heart, man. Imagine 1 year in New England. Like, can you imagine that? It would have to be, we'll knock on wood, but I guess maybe kind of not knock on wood. Like, it would mean that there was an injury to Mac Jones, potentially, like an off-season thing, or like, oh, he's had shoulder surgery, he's down for a little bit, something like that. But imagine 1 more year. That would be unbelievable.
Oh, I'm not even talking about an injury to Mac Jones. I'm like,
replacement.
Okay, no. Here, you're the backup. Now you definitely are the quarterback in waiting. You learn from him.
Really?
Sitting with him, you develop physically for another year, and then it's yours after that.
This is a real thing that this is a...
I'm just saying, if you're going to chase... I don't know if you can get into... Would it go against his legacy if he started bouncing team to team every year, chasing that championship? Would that affect it at all?
No.
You think?
No.
So when do we start the petition?
I'm not saying it's what he did, but
what legacy? He's had 5.
Not the legacy, but just like, okay, all right, now we're gonna change everything, and now it's basically okay. We're gonna go find the team that's ready for a championship.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
LeBron,
LeBron
thing.
That's what I don't like about the
true.
basketball and all. Like, hey, we're gonna put our 3 guys
that's
together.
True. I hear you.
Which is kind of like not. It's like against what I believe.
Percentage that he goes to New England for 1 year out of you.
1%. But there's a chance. There's still a chance.
Maybe that's the Dumb and Dumber thing,
chance.
Max. Put that Dumb and Dumber thing in there.
There's still a chance. It might even be less than 1%.
Yeah, I like this.
But
okay.
let's just throw it in there for the conversation. Why not?
Okay.
If you're going to go somewhere else, why not?
Love it. Max, did you watch football this weekend?
I watched a couple of the highlights.
But you also watched Puppet Master? You said Puppet Master's good?
This weekend? Yeah.
Is that show on Netflix or something?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
told
it's
me
like
there's something.
4-part docuseries.
Said it's just. So I started it.
I think I
haven't finished
started it, and then my wife was like,
Screwed up.
I don't think so. I don't think we should
Con
do
man,
this.
very
Yeah.
con man-y. But what a great. You got me on a Duran Duran kick right now. Can we throw in a little Duran Duran maybe? Or
8 seconds or less.
8 seconds or less. What is it? If I just an ordinary world, something like that.
Start like twitching.
Yeah. Very like the guy listened to that song going across the country,
Yeah, on repeat.
On repeat.
On repeat.
Whew. We got a lot going on with that guy. What else did you have? You had one more thing up here, Max. Sketchy. What is it?
Oh, so the SoFi Stadium. Did you hear about? They just nixed the policy, but it was a little.
What was
sketchy.
going on with it? What was it?
I think basically
It was,
LA fans are kind of soft, and basically SoFi Stadium turned into the last time they played. There was a bunch of 49er fans.
So
there, right?
to limit that,
Ooh.
SoFi put out a policy saying that they were only going to allow people with LA-based zip codes to purchase tickets.
Aha.
And anyone who did not, it would get canceled and nullified without notification.
Are they putting that on the pandemic?
No.
Oh, well, I was wondering if they were going to say
They're
we're not going to
putting
bring
it on the
anything.
fact that their fan base is soft.
Okay, I didn't know if they were saying, "Hey, we're not going to allow anybody from outside of our zip code in." Blah blah. They could blame that on a few things, right? So
Do you like the overtime? Because there's a lot of people bitching right now about overtime.
I know I don't mind it because here's my take on it, and this is I will stand by this. Be a couple pretty good games in the past if you didn't have the rule, right? If it was like college football, but say it was regular, not from the 25-yard line, 35. Say it was regular, up and back down the field, but it was you had a chance to score a touchdown, right? I don't mind the rule that it is because the way I look at it is, okay, you didn't have an opportunity in overtime, but you had 60 minutes.
Correct.
You had plenty of opportunities to not go to overtime. So determine it by the coin flip. And then guess what? Your defense is going to go out there and make a stop. Or if you want the ball, by the way, it depends. Does anybody select defense first?
No, not now.
Not now, right?
I mean, I shouldn't say that because I think you could play in external factors where if you get a really bad weather game or wind,
Yeah.
which way you go on offense would be more important
Sure.
than getting the ball first.
Or the way I'm looking at it is if your defense is just, stuffing them all game, you kick off, touch back, you stuff them in their end, right? And then they have a punt, and then you're in better field position.
However, though, if your defense is stuffing them all game, your offense has sucked all game.
Yeah. It's like there's a reason you're tied.
Okay. Duly noted.
But, I just don't.
The rule doesn't bother me. I don't mind it.
I don't mind it either. And all these people are like, oh, it's determined on a coin flip, and I'm with bullshit. As a defense, your job is to stop them from scoring. You know the situation. Everybody knows the situation.
Yep.
Just let it play out. I like the adjustment that they made. If it's a field goal, you have a chance to tie. Score a field goal.
I like that.
It goes
Yeah,
further.
because the field goal is essential.
Or you score a touchdown, then it's over. I like that adjustment. I would leave it the same way.
Yep.
Or
Okay.
the only other thing is you just throw 10 minutes on, and it's going to be wherever we are at the end of 10 minutes. That's what it is.
Okay.
But
Kind of like hockey.
the fact that people are like,
We got to get you on the rules
and
committee.
ex-NFL players are like, oh, this is, Buffalo got the game stolen from them or whatever. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
No, I don't like that. I don't like
Ridiculous.
that either.
It's been
I'm glad we're in the
sudden
same
death.
boat on this.
It's been sudden death. I mean, the soccer goes to a certain overage time or what extra time. No one knows when the hell that game's
No,
going to
you
end.
pulled up the sign,
it's just
this Ted Lasso.
Nobody has a clue when the ref's going to blow a whistle. Hockey's sudden death. It's only one. It's only one goal. It's just at some point it's like life isn't fair for everything.
Yeah, you had all game to not get there.
You had all game not to go there, and now your defense has another chance to go out there and shut them down, which is your job anyway. The fact that you're saying it's based on determined by a coin flip is effing insane.
Preach.
I'm good.
Okay, we got Dan's take on that. We'll send it to all the football syndicated talking radio shows.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's going to open it, but
Never know. Okay, let's bring on VL. We'll talk about the mental side of the game. Today, we got another guest on. Episode 57. We got Jimmy VanOstrand. I call him VO.
that's a lot easier, so let's just go with that. And
Well,
he said it was okay. So
He did say it's okay.
He
He
asked-
looks,
he
he's
asked
got
permission.
a beard for days right now. I don't remember that part about you because we couldn't have beards when we were playing. We played together in the Astros organization. He played for Team Canada.
is that still true
What's that?
for Astros? You can't have a beard?
I don't know. We'll ask him. Can guys have beards now?
Jays were illegal. I don't know about Houston.
Yeah.
New York Yankees very frowned upon.
Got it.
I don't know where Houston sits these days, but
So were you happy to get up to Blue Jays?
Yeah, were you happy?
Were you happy?
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, I don't have to shave anymore.
No, well, so the last time I had to shave full time was at Boston College coaching, and so they were Mike Gambino strict no shave policy, and that's not good. Like I was going bald, so I didn't want to admit it, but I'm going bald and I can't have a beard. And it's just not where you want to be.
I don't remember Gambino like that.
Oh yeah, once you get in charge, you're in charge.
He
No
changed
shave.
then.
No, he's a stud, man. I was really lucky to work for him, and he gave me my first opportunity in coaching and stuff, and it was awesome there. But yeah, definitely no shave policy. Wanted everybody clean shaven.
Did you go to school with
I
Gambino,
went to
or was
school.
he coaching already?
No, he was a couple years older than me, probably.
Couple years. So you went to school. So he was
Went to
playing
school
ball
with
there
him.
then.
Yes, he was playing ball.
Got it. Okay. So his name has come up a ton of times in this podcast.
We should probably have him on.
We probably should because
Probably.
we've had King on, who you know Mike King, a few other people that are BC ties with Will Blackman. So a lot of BC stuff going on with this show. So you always bust my balls about
baseball.
Maine.
Oh shit! A lot of baseball, a lot of football, a lot of Maine, a lot of BC. What do you expect out of this show?
Yeah, it's all the people that we know. That's all we got. So, but now, okay, I got to make sure I say this right. Mental. Well, is it mental?
What'd you ask him?
Okay, what is your title with the Blue Jays now? Because this is kind of a new role, new thing. We've had some people on talking about this. So, what's the actual title of the role?
Actual title is Major League Mental Performance Coach.
Mental performance coach. Got it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, because we've seen, we had a great doctor on here that specializes in anxiety and performance with youth sports, and he speaks all over the
Some
place. He was
colleges.
awesome, and colleges,
Yeah.
and he gave us a couple things for our golf games that are huge. That's one of the primary reasons we're bringing you on, because we're getting ready for golf season, so we need to start working on our mental performance. So, okay, first question I have for you has nothing to do with this. All right. Okay, this came up to me today. I'm looking at a map, and you got Cuba underneath Florida, right? Okay, and say you want to go to, where was I saying?
Jamaica.
Jamaica. Say you want to go to Jamaica. When we couldn't go to Cuba, I don't know what that's called.
Trade embargo.
Yeah, trade embargo.
Communist. I don't know. Yeah. That time. That era.
Could planes fly from Florida and go over Cuba to Jamaica, or do they have to go around? What do you think?
That's a tremendous place to start. I got no. I'm thinking you got to go around.
Okay.
I think I got to think it extends up, at least in some manner.
Yes, it's like that. Yeah,
you got your
airspace or
territory.
something, right? Like,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So we Googled it, and what I found out is actually you still have to pay for airspace over Cuba.
So the airlines probably pay a fee.
Probably.
So they probably. My guess is they don't fly around. They pay a fee to fly through the airspace.
I bet you they have a set rate on, hey, here are the scheduled flights going over
Yep.
that they're taking care of. But if you are in a two-seater or a Cessna, if you will,
Yeah.
I think you have to let Cuba know that you will be arriving at whatever time, and this is where you'll be. And I think you have to go through a bottleneck area too. Like you have to get to a certain point, and you have to pay them a fee, which might be around $170.
It's like
I'm not
a toll.
sure.
It's like a toll
Yes.
booth. So did you expect that to be the first question? What are the what were the odds there?
I think that was option C. You know, I'm like, it'll probably be A or B, but maybe they go with the Cuba airspace.
Yeah, there you go.
Know, so
Actually, I mean, with that beard, you look like Castro.
Yeah, I know.
Now.
I think it's a long beard. I think it's a great question. So
right up your
I didn't
alley.
know the beard was going to be there. I actually wrote this down. I said, I got to ask him about flying over Cuba, see if that's like a real thing. By the way, he has no knowledge of this. It's just something that we wanted to ask. No. So next question, though. How do you go from playing ball to be on the, like, when were these jobs posted in the major leagues, right? Is this something that's in the last 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? When did this start to take place?
Yeah, so I think it's been something that's been going on in the background for a long time, and you see certain organizations have some guys that have been there for a long time, 20 plus years, 30 plus years in the game. For myself personally, and the last few years, it's definitely taken hold, and as far as resources go and things go within organizations, it went from maybe having one person in the entire organization to now having people at each minor league affiliate, or at least multiple people in the minor leagues, somebody in the major leagues. So everybody's doing it a little differently, but definitely in the past few years, it's kind of the manpower, woman power to it has blown up.
So there's actually like rovers now for this potentially, right? In the minor leagues that are traveling around to each of the different AA, AAA, whatever it is.
Rovers or there's a handful of organizations that have full-time mental performance coaches even in the minor leagues. So it'd be like the same way you'd have before S&C guys were every day, and like you just had the rover and somebody ran a strength program. Now everybody's got a S&C coach at every affiliate. Same thing. It's only a few organizations are doing this, but they'll have somebody full-time every day with the players.
Is there time with you built into the program, whether it be off season or in season, where, I mean, you're going in class, exercises, sitting on the couch sessions, all that built in?
Yeah, it's a mix of it. I mean, I think the vast majority of what we do is a lot more sort of optional and figure it out as far as scheduling and stuff like that. Definitely have like a space in team meetings. What we found is we try and make it smaller doses and work into the daily flow and the daily schedule, as opposed to like that. So, okay, you got 30 minutes or 45 minutes in a classroom setting at the end of it in spring training when everybody's tired, wants to go home anyways. So it's trying to fit it into the daily schedule, but definitely there's pieces that are kind of mandatory, and everybody's just going to be a part of what you do. But the majority is just on kind of building a relationship with the guys, figuring out what they want to work on, and kind of going from there.
That's what I was going to say. I think this is probably like a big relational ship.
Yeah, it's probably tough
piece to it, right?
It's easier.
Like where you've got to be out there. You've got to be out there, and I don't know what your personality was when you were playing with Tip, but you've got to be sort of like welcoming and like having chats and conversation, and getting to know these guys on a personal level, so they feel comfortable coming to you.
Totally. I mean, really, I'm just one of a ton of people that are trying to help them, help our team play better and help them perform and do the things they want to do, individually and for their families and stuff like that. So I think that's the basis of any good coach, figuring out what they're currently doing, what they want to get better at, and try and make them better with it. And same thing for me, there's a huge relational aspect where you're kind of getting a feel for their guys, how they operate. Some guys are serious, some guys, want to bullshit a little bit or whatever, and everything in between. But you're trying to get that relationship and build that trust factor, and then figure out what the things are you're trying to work on.
Are other sports doing this at the level that baseball is doing it yet, or is baseball late to the game? Where are you putting that? It's interesting to watch it, because I think different aspects are different of it. I think like the amount of people that are involved in baseball and how it's working into the minor league affiliates is baseball's kind of toward the forefront of a lot of things. But the other sports kind of similarly, like there's a lot of people in the building, but how it looks as far as like the one-on-one time with players and building specific programs and specific things with guys and having enough people to do that effectively. It seems like the staffs are just a little bit smaller. You talk about the logistics of a baseball team versus a football team versus basketball. Basketball, one guy can cover it, no problem. Baseball, yeah, you're in a pretty good spot. Football, it's like, good luck if you're in charge of 53 guys plus support staff plus everybody else. It's like, it's a whole different animal. Plus like kickers. Imagine dealing with a kicker.
And a punter.
Or a center.
The center's fine. The center will be fine.
Punters and kickers.
They are just
Or imagine like hockey, you got to deal with a goalie. Just like all I can think about is what's our movie? Miracle.
Oh yeah.
Remember when he's like, I want the guy who didn't take the test.
What's the position in baseball that's the most mind fucked?
No, there's a lot.
No. But it's like,
Okay.
I mean, you said it perfectly. Like kickers and like punters,
Baseball.
those guys are just screwy. Goalies, I think it's a lot of mental
somebody's
games.
tapped in baseball. You're right.
I'm going to get shit for saying, but left-handed pitchers, I think
It's pretty good.
I was just going for pitchers.
No,
you really narrowed it down.
A specialist. I would say the same thing. Like somebody who's got something quirky, right?
Like a closer or
a
something,
submariner or a closer, a guy that's designed to go in there and get one out, that type of stuff. I mean, the game's changed a ton in the last since we played anyway, with starters being different now and openers, and like some days you start like a great reliever in the front end because you need to get through the lineup once, so it's a lot different. But I'm sure that there's the quirkiness of the guy that's supposed to get the one out would be my guess, because I'm picturing some in my head right now.
I feel like it's by nature too. Like why is golf so hard, right? Like you got so much time to think in between each shot. Like you don't just get to go on the next one. You got to sit there and drive up to your ball and be like, why the fuck did I think it was a good idea to pull a driver on this hole? Like I knew I wasn't going to hit that well. I haven't hit one well all day. Same thing for like, position players. They get to go out there every day, and if something goes good, something goes bad, whatever, you're in the lineup the next day. Same thing. Again, I love watching football. I don't know football, but I got to think your everyday guys and your guys that get to be there, offense, defense, whatever. There's that mentality where you just get to go when you play, and yeah, you might screw something up, but you get to be right back out there the next series or whatever. Yeah. But for a kicker, when they're sitting there all game and you just think about it and then you show up and it's going to affect the outcome of a game, you've got more time to think, less time to do and perform. And that's kind of the recipe for, you want to be tightened up in how you go about your shit, or else it's going to, that's where it can unravel pretty quick.
Speaking just for golf though, and some advice to
golf necessarily
VO right now.
Yeah.
I think you put the cart away and you walk the course. That always seems to help me.
That does. It gets me
with
in
my
the game
flow,
too.
gets me into the game. I can think about it, but the cart in at Quidnesset, unfortunately, you can't walk there.
Well, you can. You just have to still pay the cart fee. So in golf, though, when I'm playing well, I don't think golf is hard. And what I try to do is when I'm playing poorly, I try to program my brain. I try to visualize. Dr. Chapman told us that. Doesn't go so well all the time. It's because I don't practice it all the time, right? But when I'm playing well, I'm like, golf's easy. I'm going to smash this down the middle, do it, boom, I'm going to stick the green, I'm going to maybe make a putt, lip it out, made par, no problem. When I'm in a bad place, I
wish it was that easy.
I'm sometimes like, when I'm putting the tee in the ground, like, I have no clue like, what's going to go on right now. So, and pitching, I think, is a lot the same way. I'm sure hitting was. I didn't hit when I was, at these higher levels like this. But I imagine, and you were a hitter, right? So what things, I didn't want to ask this question yet, but I'm going to go with it. If you played right now instead, with this amount of knowledge that you have, how would your approach change? Just a day-to-day going to bat, right? Getting in the cage, having ABs, knowing that you're in the lineup.
I think the biggest change would be just like philosophically, I would be a lot less concerned with the overall everything and more obsessive over like really being able to play one pitch at a time. Like I know it's cliche saying like one pitch at a time, but it's not. Like it can be a bumper sticker and whatever and just something you bring up, or it's literally like that's the thing. That's every game is happening one pitch at a time. And if you get really tightened up as far as how you go about that, how you practice it, how you build that into what you do, that would be the big just philosophy. I wouldn't chase the overall everything, big picture, this, that, the other. I would try and get really, really good at how I played one pitch and then try and get really good at repeating it. But it wouldn't get any more complicated than that because the game isn't more complicated than that. We try and make it more complicated and different situations arrive and things change. Like those pitches can all be different, but really it's happening in this one moment, in this one at a time. Like you can't do anything about the last one. You can't do anything. And again, there are things that are very cliche, but I think in the work I'm doing now, I truly believe like that's real. Like it, and just getting really good at that mindset of trying to be perfect on one pitch and having a framework to do that, and then being able to just run it back and run it back and run it back.
Or if you're not perfect, just the next one is a new pitch, right?
Yeah.
Like that's
I am a cliche king, and I think that was the title of
last episode with Broski. Yeah.
And your cliche, your philosophy is right on. And for us, it was one game at a time. You know, you can't really control anything that happened before, and you can't control anything that's going to happen next. Why is it that Toronto or anybody else are just catching on to this?
I don't think it is that anyone's like just catching on to it, right? You talk to all-time greats from before and from whatever, and like they naturally figure out that. And even anybody, when they're playing well, right, they're just in that moment and they're focused. They're not worried about the outcome, or they're not worried about what's happened before. So I don't think it's something we're just coming onto, but I do think it's something that we're, you know, people that aren't onto it naturally, or just the coaches that they've had growing up or whatever. I think more intentionally we're getting better at teaching some of these skills, but I think it's the same thing. Like the game doesn't reinvent itself. That like, yeah, there's a ton of things changing. The information's different, and how you strategize and prepare and all that. Like there's tons of things changing, but I don't think that concept is changing from the greats. How you might articulate it, or how you might do it, or whatever might change. But I think it's always been there. We're just getting better at kind of drilling down to what those things are. And we're trying to help more people be able to see things that way, instead of just relying on the ones that kind of naturally or by chance or by experience figured that out on their own.
Yeah. No, that's your other favorite cliche is you can have a bad day, just not on Sunday.
Just not on Sunday.
that's
actually, I don't know if that's a cliche.
It might not
that's
be.
Just
it's
good
just
advice.
A statement.
That's good advice. And unfortunately, I've had a couple Sundays that were bad, but you don't want to have one on Sunday.
Two bad snaps.
That's great
though.
advice.
Only 2 bad snaps in Dan's career is what he's.
2 bad snaps.
He claims out of
11
years, right?
2 bad snaps, no turnovers on snaps.
2 bad snaps, so both bad snaps.
Not like that Rams kid.
Yeah, I was going to just say
that was not good timing.
Not good timing.
What about, all right, so I don't want this question to sound bad. I'm trying to phrase it in a way where it's not going to come out bad, but
it's ought to be good.
No, but I mean, like people have changed over time, their mental approach or their mental.
People are softer. Is what you're trying to say.
Mental strength. Do you find
he calls me soft every other day?
Well,
so
you're physically soft.
You're
like the Pillsbury Doughboy over here.
No, but when as I'm becoming physically softer, you're hammering on my mental softness.
You're a mental midget.
Baloney.
He gets a little razzed about things that he doesn't really.
I'm going to go.
You get a little scrambled.
Don't worry, I got a bullet for this.
Have players changed from when you've played, or how your mindset was? Do you find them mentally weaker, or is that? I mean, how would you put it? How the athletes now are thinking now, and not necessarily weaker. I don't want to put it like that, but you know what I mean.
So the way I look at it, and this, I was listening to this person talk, and they made this analogy, and I thought it was perfect, right? And they're talking about like successful people have 3 abilities, right? They're resilient, they're robust, and they're mindful. And it was like, all right, well, what the hell are those things? And they're like, picture yourself in a fight, right? If you're resilient, that's like you have the ability to get knocked down and get back up. If you're robust, you can get punched in the face and just wear it. And if you're mindful, you know how to get out of the way of the punch, right? And those are all 3 things that people, to be successful, need to have these 3 skills. I think in the past, or historically speaking, we were really good at teaching people to be like knocked down and get back up. And we're really good at teaching people to be punched in the face and just wear it. But we weren't great at telling them to get out of the way of punches and find the best way to do something. And I think now it's kind of flipped to where that, whether it's that generation of parents or just how technology's advanced it or whatever, now we're having all these people that are really, really good at trying to figure out the best way to do something, right? We want to be the most efficient. We want to be the smartest with our time. You got to explain everything to me. And so like now that strength, as far as dodging the punch or getting out of the way, avoiding things, is hyper good, but they're not as great naturally from how we raised them, trained them, environments they be in, just getting punched in the face and wearing it and getting knocked down and getting back up. Right. So as before, kind of old school mentality, you come into this like, hey, there's some better ways to do things. There's some more efficient ways to practice, more efficient ways to prepare. All these things, like that's the upskilling that past generations have needed. Whereas now the skills about just like being out there wearing it and showing back up the next day, or getting knocked down, your face kicked in and showing up the next day. Like those are more the skills that we're having to train. Whereas the curiosity and the desire to learn and find the most efficient way, like that's what they're wired for.
Okay.
So that part's really easy now. So I think it's just different things that have been emphasized in the way people have grown up. And, you know, you still find everybody's unique, right? You get different hybrids and different people you get some kids now that are as tough as anybody ever. And you know, there were some pushovers 20 years ago in the, you know, quote unquote old school times. But I think that's the biggest thing that as a whole, like I see changing is just that ability to the mindful awareness, like get out of the way. That's now the strength as opposed to the like just getting punched in the face and wearing it.
I mean, I think that you nailed that.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds
so. We've gone.
perfect.
We've gone to the other side of the extreme.
Well, this is the Joe Rogan thing. Soft times create soft people create hard times. Hard times create hard people.
I think you're
almost
missing,
nailed it. I almost nailed it.
I think you're missing something in there.
It's what you're talking about, though. Basically,
soft men create soft times.
Soft men create soft times. Soft times create hard times. Hard times create hard men. Hard men create soft times.
Something like that.
Something along those lines. People, I guess,
it's a cycle. It's a cycle. If you didn't know,
we're in a weird spot of a cycle. So, but I think that you nailed that with the 3 different pieces there. I mean, we should. But it also, you just gave a high level definition of Sun Tzu's Art of War. That's what you just described. That's the not having, like, you're in the middle of a fight or you're supposed to have a fight, but how do you avoid that to beat your opponent rather than, like, strike first, you know, like Cobra Kai.
No mercy.
You know, it's just a different
Strike
style.
first, strike hard.
So,
no mercy.
Yeah, strike first, strike hard, exactly. So, no, I thought that was laid out perfectly. That made a lot of sense to me, and I feel like that's probably pretty accurate with youth sports, which we're heavy in youth sports. Is what our company overall does.
I think it rolls into parenting as well.
And that's what I was going to say, which is parenting in general.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, let's face it. Youth sports probably is more babysitting than anything else, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, or it's molding minds.
You get to mold them and you get to a certain level, but I mean, you've got to be mature or at an age to be coached.
Hear you. Gotcha. Did you play hockey?
If you talk to my Canadian friends, like they'll be like, no, he didn't really play hockey. I feel like I played hockey. I played it up till I was 11, but they're like, that doesn't count, man. Like,
got it. Yeah. Well, that's what I was wondering because I know you're a Canadian guy. You know, I just assumed you kind of were born on skates.
Do you have your own skates?
No, not to fit me. Oh. No, not to fit me anymore. It's bad. I live in Arizona. I've just totally, I'm soft.
He's off the ice.
I'm very mindful.
Yeah, he's mindful. He's from the mindful side. Yeah. So no hockey. So you're growing up in Canada, right? Where at in Canada?
West Coast, Vancouver, just outside Vancouver, BC.
Ooh, it's pretty out there.
I've never been there.
Well,
that's one place I'd want to go.
By the way, me either. Okay. I just have seen it on TV. It looks beautiful.
Very nice. Seen the pictures.
Is it beautiful? Is it beautiful out there? Explain to the listeners.
It really is. It's pretty. I mean, you've got ocean right there, and then you're right by the mountains. So it's like it's pretty cool spot.
It always looks pretty. So, start playing baseball. Take us through that path. Decent draft round and everything. Like, what did you do? Where'd you go to college? Like, how'd your draft plan work out?
Yeah, I mean, baseball is always huge for me. My dad was a baseball player. He's from Ohio. So he baseball was always a thing growing up, like ever since I was little. Went to a junior college. Basically, I never visited the school before I went down there, and talking to the coach on the phone, I was thinking I was showing up to Baywatch, and then I got to Santa Maria, California, which I don't know if anyone has ever been there, but it's not Baywatch. You're a good 45 minutes away from the beach, inland a little bit.
You're in Bakersfield.
But anyways, it's headed that way. Yeah. That's the inland stop between Baker and San Luis Obispo. So I was 2 years there, 2 years at Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, and then got signed with the Astros. But again, I mean, I feel like very fortunate to have been around awesome coaches the whole time, and just things that, were kind of just random how they fell into order, ended up just being the perfect spot for me, and things worked out well.
With the mental coach, how did that come about? Did you have to go back to school?
Yeah, so I got done playing in 13 was my last year. And then that's when I got the gig at Boston College as a volunteer assistant. I was full into coaching. Like that's what I wanted to do. I love baseball. I wanted to get in that world. And so I was there 2 years, went over to University of Arizona, was there for a year, and had a guy named Andy McKay, who's with the Seattle Mariners. He's their director of player development, so basically runs the whole minor league system. And he had been my summer ball coach in the Alaska League in college. So like I'd known him for, I guess, 10, 15 years at that point. And so he basically reached out and said, hey, and he had previously been the mental skills coach for the Colorado Rockies. So he'd worked in this arena, and he basically pitched me on like, hey, I'm trying to build out a mental performance team. I think we need more baseball players and baseball voices in this. I think you'd be good. What are your thoughts? To which I was like, well, that sounds awesome, but I have no idea what I'm talking about. Like, how do I go from here to there? And he basically just said, like, go start back at school. We'll kind of get you under some guys so we'll have work for you in the meantime. And then, you know, as you figure out and learn more what you're talking about, we'll transition it into a full-time mental skills role. And so that's kind of what I did. I started back to school that fall, doing a master's degree, mostly online stuff, a little bit in person. And then by 2 years later, I was transitioned and I'd finished my master's and transitioned kind of more full-time mental performance work with the Mariners. And then things just kind of rolled from there.
Yeah. It's, so my wife is in this space. So she is a counselor, wellness, like, you know, that type of world. So I hear the word mindful all the time. You know, it's a different game for sure. I mean, she went back to school for it, and like now, like she, you know, the way she speaks, the way she like, you know, kind of has conversations with people, it's different. It feels very much like how you are. The way you're talking to it's like I'm talking to Tracy, kind of just with a beard on his face. So it's hot. So yeah, you're super hot. Yeah. So you know, I always looked at it as like, okay, you got the couch. The person lays on the couch and says what their feelings are, right? It's like the opposite of that. It's more like the exercises that you've been talking about. Do you learn both? Like, can somebody come into your office and kind of sit down and pour it out there? Or is it more you're helping them with breathing techniques, right? And like the other things that we talked about with planning and like one pitch at a time. You know, what part is more prevalent, I guess?
So I'm definitely, we're lucky in the sense like we have one guy who's more on the mental health side of things, and then I'm on the performance. So if you think of it like a continuum or whatever, like you've got, say, anxiety, depression, serious challenges there, like that's his specialty, clinical side of things, and then more the performance realm, like what's transitioning on the field. Obviously, there's a ton of like in between and gray area, right? Because if things aren't going well off the field or you're having challenges with that shows up on. So we work tightly together. Both of our services are totally confidential if the players are wanting it to be confidential. So we're tightened up kind of that way. So from that point, I'm a lot more what are you going to do on the field? How are things going there? But again, you're there every single day. All the guys, like I do have, I am not licensed as a mental health counselor. So it's important, you know, your scope of practice and when to refer and when to get guys out and get them in with the right people. But you do have knowledge, and you're almost like like a very educated friend, a very knowledgeable friend from that side of things. Trying to
not to brag, very educated friend. Yeah, I got you.
I use that term. I guess I should probably use that term loosely. But no. So I think most of it is more that. But again, at the same time, you know, a lot of it. Sometimes it is an office setting or a whatever, and you're just breaking things out like, what do we got going? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to figure out? What are they going through? And just listening a lot and trying to help them sort of piece some things back together. But a lot of it is just, you know, smaller things out on the field. You know, I'm out there playing catch with guys. I'm helping them an extra hand in the cage or on the field, out there in batting practice, you know. And so I think that's one of the cool things. Like sometimes I'm shagging BP and I'm talking to guys and you're just BSing about like, where'd you go to dinner? What'd you do last night? How are you checking out the city? And then other times you're having a really meaningful conversation, and to anybody watching, it's going to be the same thing, right? Like sometimes we're talking about serious deep shit they're going on in right center and nobody knows any difference. The same way we're talking about what'd you have dinner last night? So I think that's like one of the fun things, and being able to be sort of in these spaces and have access to the environment. And I take that responsibility seriously, right? Like I want to, you know, these guys and their success is so important to me, and trust is the foundation of everything. But I think it's a lot more of sort of the performance side of things. And then the last thing I'll say on it is like, I think sometimes there is this misconception about mental performance work that it is like just breathing strategy and like on the couch and on the like do some of these different like formal techniques and stuff. Like if you're taking ground balls and we're putting a clock on it and we're doing some of these things that more replicate gameplay, like you're not doing it just, obviously there's the physical benefit, but you're getting your mind used to game speed versus runner versus whatever. You know, if you're on the mound or if you're playing catch or doing some side work or whatever, and we're working on whether it's the breath routine or how you refocus or how you work through one pitch, like that's mental performance work. So that's a lot of what we're talking about. Like sometimes it's, you know, thinking, I think for people that haven't had work with, and everybody does it differently, but I think there's this misconception about like, oh, I got to teach them how to visualize, or I got to teach them how to breathe, or I teach them how to goal set or whatever. And like, that's definitely a part of it. But I think a lot of it too is just thinking about the things that they already do in their day. How do we connect that with the mindset and the mentality that's going to show up in game time on the field and all those things, you know, and just make sure that the mind space they're in while they're preparing is going to help them show up when they're playing the game.
Have you had one of those breakthroughs without saying the name of a player or an instance where you've come home at night and just went, fuck yeah?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And there's definitely times when it's been the opposite, you know? And I think like that's the cool part of it, and everything in between where you think like, fuck yeah, we had a breakthrough, and then you watch the game and you're like, oh no, that wasn't it. You know, and
the film doesn't lie.
Went 0 for 5, 4 days.
And then vice versa, where it's like, you know, oh, I don't think anybody listened to anything about that. And then you're watching the press conference 2 weeks ago and they're quoting something that you said to them, you know? And it's like, so it's really, I think that's just been the cool thing about the work, is just like, you know, getting to know the guys, staying in there, staying committed to what we believe in as our mental performance group, and, you know, sort of practicing what we preach and being there to try and help. But it's not about us at all, right? Like it's not, I'm never going to get another hit, right? My career's done playing. It's really just trying to help these guys do their thing. And I think that's a cool thing about where you get the enjoyment from. It's not about me anymore, whether I do good or I do bad or I do whatever. It's just like, how do we win games as a team? And I think that makes it kind of that much more rewarding when things go well for the guys.
Cool. I've got one for you. Did you ever play with Mckellar?
Oh, yeah.
I was hoping that you did, because I knew we were close, right? I knew we were close, but I wasn't sure. And I was, Mckellar was my guy, right?
He's just laughing.
Well, we had Mckellar on. It was like the most viewed, listened to.
He's a beauty.
Unbelievable.
That guy is an absolutely beautiful human being.
Yeah,
no doubt.
What would you do for him?
So perfect. That's where I'm going. So I know, you know, now you've got all this stuff, but we can go in the past and we can take somebody before you had your skill in your trade.
Plus, so Mckellar gave permission for this to happen.
Mckellar absolutely gave permission.
He said it's okay.
Let's set the stage. Hypothetically, you have a 6'6", redhead, long hair, gangly guy, gets in trouble a lot, viewed as a team morale guy, but also potentially labeled as a bad guy. How do you help somebody like Mckellar specifically?
I think, I mean, one of the cool things, like we got different taglines, like speaking the cliches or whatever. Like one thing we really believe in is that the guys, you're the expert on yourself, right? And like, so it's important that we help guys be who they want to be and not try and put them cookie cutter into a hole, into a mold or something like that. And so I think that's the thing with Mckellar, right? Like he's this beautiful human being, beautiful personality, beautiful person. But if you try and make him something that he's not, it's going to rub people the wrong way. But also, if he is misunderstood or some of the things that he's doing are rubbing coaches the wrong way or affecting a team in a different way, like that's not good for him, the person, the player, anything, right? So I think that is where, you know, with Mckellar, it'd be awesome working with someone like him, right? Like he's just he's fun, he's intent, he's real, he's funny, like everything about him, right? So I think really it just starts with like, he's going to say a lot, right? Which is beautiful. So I just listen. And then it's about figuring out like these things he's saying, what is either in things he's doing or the way that he's being perceived and things are taken from him that's actually not coming across right and not helping him and serving him and doing the things that he wants to do. And then that's kind of where we build our basis off of. But basically it's just going to be driven by him saying what he wants to think, where do you want to go, what do you want to do? And then me being like, all right, well, knowing how some of this is playing out versus something else, like we got to tighten this up here because you're wanting to do this, but for whatever reason, when you come across in this way, it's not playing out for you. Would you agree with that? Yeah. Okay. Let's
got it. So that is some of your responsibility then. Okay. So if I also asked that question again and you said I couldn't help a Mckellar, I would have been fine with that answer. I think that a lot of people could understand.
I think 2 DUIs in one night is, that's enough. I mean, I think
he was just. I think
he's gone over the limit.
So he told the story on this. I don't know if you were there for this, Vio. It might have been. It was probably close, but when he shit his pants in sliders and stretch in the morning at spring training, and then he hung them up in Sergio's locker, and and he buried him. I couldn't laugh harder than that. I mean, and what's funny though is
I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's just being a teammate.
I know, but that's what's so funny about like professional sports, right? It's like something like that. Like somebody who's the mental performance coach, who you would think like, oh, you're stern, like, or I got to make sure. You need that shit.
That's team building.
You need that stuff. You need that type of stuff to happen for it to be like loose. You're with each other 300 days a year, 250 days a year. It's a lot going on. So you got to have the shit in the slider, putting in the locker story every once in a while.
That's how he ended the interview too. That
or
was
were you in Corpus when we put the tarantula in Eli's locker? Were you there for that? You might not have been there yet.
No,
I was in. Okay, you might have been a year off.
No.
That was a good one. He had a panic attack and had to go to the hospital. So
I could see how that one would play out, though.
I know you probably can remember that one. So, this is all stuff. I mean, Dan knows this. Right around a year ago now, we had a Peloton challenge, and we battled it out. But also, it was a lot going on. A year into the pandemic, and I faced anxiety for my first time ever, and I was like, why do I feel like shit? And I was like in bed for a couple of days. Like, I don't want to get up. Like, this is brutal. Like, I'm feeling like winded, and I wasn't out of shape. I felt it was probably the best shape I've been in 10 years.
Probably.
And it was just, I was like and I was like, you know what? I wonder if I ever faced that when I was playing and just didn't recognize it. And like now I'm out of it, or I'm older or something, where I was like, I felt like shit for 2 weeks. And I've been pretty good since then. Once in a while, I get a little spun up, but I didn't feel like I ever had it playing ball though. And there were some nights I should have had some anxiety, and there was definitely some nights that I should have had some depression for sure. But I didn't feel like it when I was playing. I just felt angry sometimes if I had a bad night, right? And I would, I didn't need to go drink beers and blow off steam, but it was just like shit. I wanted to get back out there and play again. But now that it was my first time dealing with it, right?
I think
Dan called me a few times. I didn't answer. Yeah. Everybody was worried. He came over to the house.
The CEO was like, have you heard from Tip? No, I haven't.
So I don't know. I mean, I think people maybe in our age, like in terms of played 10, 15 years ago, or whatever it is, 15, we might have had these things and just not recognized it. You know what I mean? And I don't know if you felt that way at all when you were playing, if you had a bad game, if you were a quiet guy and kind of was like, leave me alone after the game and I'm going to go drink a couple beers, or I'm going to go in the cage and hit for an hour. Or if you were like Mckellar, great example, you didn't know if he threw a no-hitter or if he got his ass kicked. You had no clue, right? Because he just had this personality and kind of vibe out there. So what were you like when you were playing like then? Was it more like, did you have that anxiety feeling at all, or?
I mean, I don't think too much but again, same as everybody else, right? You have good games and bad games and you navigate them, a little better on some days than others. And I think that's the cool thing about what I get to do now, right? We've always had your pitching coach or your, manager, hitting coach, whatever, they're already helping us with our mentality. So how you approach the box or how you do it, but they're also watching you swing. They're also watching your mechanics. They're watching a lot of things. So I think with my role, I just get to watch for that, right? Is a person a little bit more out of character than they normally would be? It might be because they're 2 for 20. It might be because, their kid's not sleeping well at home and it's driving their wife crazy. And now he's having to stay up to calm her down at the end of the night or whatever. Right. And both those things are very, very valid. But I think reflecting back, I think I was pretty fortunate to manage things fairly well most of the time, and just, the skills that I brought to the table and how to navigate things. But there's no question I could have done a lot of shit better, and I could have improved more, and there's some things you leave on the table, and that's probably everybody to some point, but I think it's, I was, probably fortunate in how I navigated it. But if I had someone that I could have utilized and I knew how they'd be able to help me out, I probably should have done a lot of stuff better too.
Pick a doesn't need to be a current player. Could be a past player, baseball. Could be a separate sport. Could be a football player right now. Who would you want to take a crack at to try to understand, and help him out?
I wonder. I'm just wondering if you're going to this guy.
Where am I going?
Antonio Brown.
I wasn't going there. I wasn't going to Antonio Brown, but is there somebody you could take a crack at and be like, man, I'd like to, if it was baseball, I'd love to spend a little bit of time shagging balls in the outfield with them and get into their brain. Or if it's football, yeah, I'd love to, be with them during an off-season practice, right? Do you have an athlete that you would pick?
And they could be all together. Hey, I just want to.
Yeah.
I want to see what he does. What makes him so good.
Sure.
No, that's good. I mean, there's tons of athletes that I would be super interested in them to almost like just from a fan, like I think they do it really, really well. And I'd want to, just be around them. And I think that's the cool thing of being at the high level, right? Like these guys are really, really good. Like if I don't show up for work for the next 2 years, like they're fine. They're still going to be really good. Like I'm not that important. Do I think I can help? I hope so, some of them, but again, like these guys are awesome. And Dan, at playing at the highest level, like it takes something special, right? And it's really cool. So I think that's one of the coolest things, being around these guys and watching them play, and everything. I'm trying to think somebody who'd be, questionable. Something
You can say Brady. It's fine. Do you want to get into Brady's head?
Oh man, I'd be obsessed. Like he's.
I know what you're thinking.
It's incredible watching how he does his business, but I think it'd be cool seeing it on an everyday basis too, right? Because then it's not the press clippings, it's not the TB12, it's how does he operate Monday through Saturday? It's not the post game interview or what you see on Sunday out on the field. Like I know there's so much more that happens behind the scenes, so like that's the cool stuff for me. It's not, you can nerd out on Man in the Arena or whatever, but I feel like having Dan's experience of playing with the guy and watching him come up and develop and things like that, I'm sure there's so much more to it. That's an easy person to want to just see what they do for sure.
Yeah, I think he lives in cliche land like us. It's
to the press. Outward, right?
All right, here you go. I texted him last week. And it was just when that Brady brand stuff came out.
Yeah, did you get a coupon code, by the way?
Not yet.
Can we get a coupon code for that?
Him.
I got a $1,500 card.
I'm on Instagram and watching all these like famous people or something like that, open up the Brady boxes and stuff. I texted. I was like, hey, dickhead.
Yeah, can I get a box?
Hey, did you forget about your old center here? I mean, why can't I get a box? I'm XL, by the way, or something like that.
Oh yeah, he's like,
and it was right before it was a few days before the Rams game or whatever. The text back was, "Hey, text this guy. I'm focused on the victory on Sunday." And I mean that's
he like yelled at you like a buddy.
No, it wasn't a yell. It was just like, "Hey, I'm good." Just trying. But that's the mindset, and it's the same thing you were talking about. One pitch at a time. It's like I'm not. I can compartmentalize a lot of things at one time, and hey, you do this. My focus is here, and that's how he lives his life.
I mean, he's the guy. I
still haven't gotten the box though yet. By the way,
well, I was hoping that maybe it doesn't fit you, and it could fit me.
It's probably an athletic fit.
Okay,
it might
not fit either of us. Then. So I would pick if I was picking that VO. Just so you know, I think this guy is what you talked about, the three levels, right? That are the three things. Yeah. Nolan Ryan. Right, and we both were around Nolan Ryan. I was around him a ton early on in the career. I don't know if he was as much when you were coming in, but talk about the first two and probably not the third as much, or a different style of like. I mean, he literally did get punched in the face during a game, right? And he delivered punches during a game, and he was like that in a rough and tough farmer, right? Like that type of stuff, but probably wasn't. Very mindful the way that people are mindful now of like avoiding the punch or avoiding conflict or avoiding whatever, right? So he'd be one I'd probably pick because I'd like to just know like what things was he doing? It had to have been different.
I got my answer now. I think DK Metcalf would be who.
Yeah.
And sort of where I'm coming from is like I Seahawks fan a little bit, and you see like the one viral clip of him in the draft where like he takes his shirt off and Pete Carroll takes his shirt off. Like there's a huge confidence sort of who he is, how he asserts himself, all this kind of stuff. And you see like monster performer in terms of skills and ability, and he can just do things that people can't do, like the combination of speed and physicality and everything like that. But he also had a portion of the season this year where, again, you can't catch what's not thrown to you. And I don't know nearly enough what I'm talking about to decide on if, what was the reasons behind anything. And I don't want to, pro sports are so hard. Like, that's one of the things I have a hard time with. Even just being a fan now, I'm like, dude, I'm second guessing like what the Bills are doing. And I'm like, those dudes are so smart and so good and everything. And like, why am I having these thoughts? Like, I've been, having the flip side of like, when people are like, why are you starting this period? Like, so much more than anyone else, but they just get to say it. But with all that being said, like, you just see how, like, I think he has the traits to be one of the best, and he already is, right? But I think just in terms of consistency, like, you haven't, to this point in his career, he's still really young, obviously, but like Devontae Adams or something like that, like, he's going to get, 6 plus, 100 plus a lot, right? And DK Metcalf can still go 2 for 37, 2 for 26 for 3 weeks in a row. And so again, I don't know if it has anything to do with the mentality or how his work is in practice or how his relationship is with the quarterback or whatever, but like, that one is one for me that's like an interesting, how is it communication with coaches? Is he gets frustrated with something else? Is it whatever? Like, is there something there that potentially I could, you could help with in terms of how a dude performs? Because that dude's fun to watch when
because he's superhuman physically, right?
Yeah,
like that. I mean, it really is. So, it's a good one. Okay, we'll take that pick.
I'm gonna put a picture up him with the shirt off, and then put one up of you next to it and see how it compares.
We'll put you beside that, you knucklehead. We're the same. We look the same right now. Hey, you got the Grind shirt on. You're using Grind?
Yeah.
Is Grind's one of the... so I order 10 cans. By the way, you got a coupon code for that too? I order 10 cans a month. I'm in the 10 can a month club.
You shared those with me. Those are good.
You like those, right? Yeah.
Those are... Yeah, Grind's. Those are my guys. So those were 2 college teammates.
That's what I wondered. So you were... Yeah. They started that, and
he might have a coupon code then.
Yeah, that's a coupon code. We'll have to text him for a coupon code on that. I mean,
we can definitely get a coupon code.
Okay, I'm in the 1,000 can club, I think, for that. So we just gave him some free press right here. Grinds. Go to getgrinds.com. I think that's the site. I even know that. So there you go. Look at that.
Yep.
Hey, this was fun. We had a ton of fun. This is good. You have any more questions?
No, I think we had a good conversation, so I don't want to ruin it with a few stupid questions.
Do you have a stupid one? I can't wait to hear.
Because he was. I mean, here's one. You were a coach, and you not just the mental side of it, but with all the stats and numbers and nerd ball coming into baseball.
Nerd ball.
It's nerd ball. What about? I mean, what would you be able to? Pick out a player or scout a player based on just what's on paper, or are you the guy that wants to go look at the film?
I gotta see film, personally. Like I think the analytics have brought a lot to the game and taken out some biases over some things, and you can see stuff. But I know, having been fortunate enough to be in clubhouses of good teams and fortunate enough to be in clubhouses of bad teams, like, there's a lot more than just what a person brings on a stat line on a baseball field and stuff like that. There's some guys that are worth more than what shows up on the back of their baseball card, and there's some guys that are worth less than what shows up on the back of their baseball card. So to me, and that stuff, obviously I'm biased, but that stuff's important to me, in terms of team culture and team building and what we're trying to accomplish. So for me, I got to see, and then just like film's film, man. There's something different about like get it, how a guy plays, how a guy embodies, like, carries himself on the field. Like, I do believe strongly that there's a lot of value in that stuff, and getting to watch a guy play and see these things. I might not even know what I'm looking at, but you like feel it, right? Or you sense it. And I think that's just the fortunate part for those of us that have been around sport, a sport we care about and a sport we deeply love. Like, you just get these sensations or feelings about guys, and more often than not, they're right, when you get to watch it play out over time. So, I'd be big on film, big on seeing people in person, big on interacting with people, all that kind of stuff. But again, that's not to say there's huge value in the other stuff. But I got to
think you're heavily involved in the draft.
I'm not personally. Our department is. So we've got another guy who does a lot of the kind of draft interview process, works close with our scouting department and things like that. So our mental performance department is very much invested in the draft process. Kind of my day to day is just a lot more.
He's already in the. He's already in the.
You're in the club. He's in the clubhouse
His
and on the
clock's
field.
already ticking for the 10 years. His clock is ticking. Remember how we was talking about the 10 years? Oh yeah, the clock is ticking. No, the clock's not ticking.
No clock ticking. You gotta. There's only so many people that clocks can tick at the same time, and I'm a little lower on the.
Man,
you're working for it.
You're working towards it. I do have one. So Toronto, right? So does your paycheck come in U.S. dollars or Canadian dollars? This is a real question.
Totally, it's totally in loonies. They give you like a huge stack of loonies.
A whole pile of those gold things.
The truck backs up, and you got like a Donald Duck like money pin to dive into.
Yep. I've always wondered this. This is real.
All our payroll is U.S. dollars. Kind of the way it functions, which is actually something challenging for the team as a whole. Right, because all your revenues most of your revenues in Canadian dollars, and all your expenses are in American dollars.
Yeah.
So it's kudos to our
multiple people in that conversion office.
Frank would be just amazing up there.
Our CFO would be like lost.
He might need some mental health.
He would. He'd need some mental coaching for sure.
After that day.
All right, Vio, that was good. Are you speaking anywhere? Are you going straight to spring training? Like, are you done speaking engagements for the off season?
Yeah, we're done. Just wrap it up. Looking forward to heading down to Florida here in another few weeks and getting going. Hopefully, we'll see how everything plays out.
Where's Toronto now? Where's Toronto's? Where's their spring training right now?
Dunedin, Florida.
Yes,
just
that's right.
North of Tampa.
That's right.
Yeah,
all right.
Sounds nice.
Maybe we'll be down there. We'll play some golf. We'll look you up. You can help us out.
Love to.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Have your grinds. Do your mental exercises and go be an all-star. That's how it works, right?
No, thank you guys.
Okay, man.
Thanks, Vio.
I'll talk to you, buddy.
Nice to meet you, man.
All right, later, Vio.
See
you, buddy.
Past Our Prime is brought to you by Squad Locker. Squad Locker is your one-stop shop for custom team apparel, delivered right to your front door. Learn more by visiting squadlocker.com.